At SafetyQuip, we're often asked to provide P1, P2 and P3 respirators. Now they're terms that are derived from Australian Standard 1716. Now a P1 deals with a relatively largish particle, a P2 a finer particle, and a P3 a particularly fine particle. Now the respirators that are on the bench here start with P1s at this end, P2s in the middle, and around to P3s at this end. We're just going to speak briefly on each product and its most popular uses. So a P1 disposable respirator, that's a valved P1 disposable respirator. That's often used for working with timber, so mechanically generated particles, maybe cutting, sawing or sanding timber, and also working with grain dust and hay dust. They tend to be larger particles. This product here looks much the same, but it's actually a P2 disposable respirator with a valve as well. Now a P2 is a finer particle, often generated from thermally generated activities like welding or grinding or cutting metal. The haze that you see that comes up from welding, grinding or cutting metal is actually a very fine particle in the air, just a burnt bit of metal really. So that will deal with a finer particle like a thermally generated particle. The next is also a P2 respirator, but instead of it being a disposable respirator, this is a reusable respirator. So a reusable respirator tends to seal on the face more effectively, and you can keep on swapping the P2 particulate pads, the filters, out over time as they become blocked up with particles. So the product tends to last a long time in addition to sealing particularly well. This is the 3M 6000 series respirator with the P2, the 2125 P2 filter on it. The next product is exactly the same reusable half mask respirator, the 3M 6000 series, but it's got a GP2 filter on it. So that just deals with P2 particles, but it also has a very fine layer of carbon on the top of it that gets rid of nuisance odours. That's often used for welding. The next product is also the 3M 6000 series half mask respirator. The section that we're talking about for particles is actually just the white pad that's here. That's the P2 filter. Now the other section here, this is a filter also, but it deals with gases and vapours. That's what we call an organic vapour filter. So that often deals with paints, pesticides, herbicides, thinners, various solvents. This product here is what we call a full face respirator. That's the 3M 6000 series full face respirator. That has what we call a P3 filter on it. So you can see there, that's the 3M 6035 P3 filter. Now that deals with particularly fine particles, such as asbestos or silica. And the respirator itself has a double seal around the outer edge and also around the nose and the mouth, just for a super fine seal against the face. So P1, P2, P3 filters. Speak with your local SafetyQuip staff member for further information.